All right, so we are now in Mundaka Upanishad, into that section where Upanishad is speaking about two birds. Two birds. So two birds, one is lower bird and the higher bird. The lower bird is experiencing, going through different type of experiences. The higher bird is witnessing all of these experiences without getting entangled into with the experiences. As a result, the lower bird is having different types of experiences, some good, some bad, and sometimes the lower bird feels that they are helpless. They cannot do many things when a lot of sufferings are there, many things about which are out of control. Such problems are there, and when such things happen, when we find ourselves with powerless, helpless, then it may be depressing. It may be depressing. But when the lower bird becomes one with the higher bird, then it sees that there is no such suffering, because it no longer then gets entangled with the experience. And I would also add that probably this lower bird also gets the wisdom that there are some sufferings which cannot be avoided. We have to make peace with some types of sufferings. No matter what we do, there will be always some kind of sufferings in our life. They will be part of our existence. In other words, we can go on solving problems, but there are some problems which are existential. They will remain with us. When we accept that, what happens is we don't resist anymore to avoid those sufferings, because the sufferings are sufferings, but trying to avoid them make the sufferings even more problematic, even more intense. So, as Buddha said, two bird, one arrow hit me, and then how I accept this arrow, that is another source of problem. So probably this lower bird over that time also in proximity with the higher bird gets the wisdom that there will be always some problem, but let me handle all of this with grace, composure, and equanimity. In that case, what happens, the helplessness that was the cause of depression is taken care of to a great extent. And so, in the previous verse, it was says, when this lower bird sees the higher bird and goes beyond, and she sees the shining nature of the higher bird, then it bito shoka bhavati. It goes beyond all the sufferings, transcends all the sufferings. The same idea that I said, the sense of equanimity that this lower bird achieves by in proximity with the higher bird, is the subject matter of the next verse. Very wonderful verse. What happens when realization happens? When this lower bird comes face to face with the higher bird, and the higher bird is golden bird. We have to probably we have noticed by now that Mundaka Upanishad has used this term golden several times. Golden heart, then now it is saying that the golden bird, when the lower bird becomes one with the higher bird, it gains equanimity, a sameness. And I came across a French word which is not so much used in English. It is called sangford. S-A-N-G-F-R-O-D. Sangfro, probably the D is silent, which literally means cold-blooded, cold blood. But the real, that is literal meaning, but the intended meaning of that word is what we are talking about, equanimity. Facing everything with a composed mind, with a composure. So this bird, lower bird, that is we, lower bird is our empirical self, gains that equanimity when it has a direct experience of the higher bird, which is golden bird. That is the next verse. Let's take a look at it. Yadā paśyaḥ paśyate rukmavarṇaṃ kartāram īśaṃ puruṣaṃ brahmayonim tadā vidvān puṇyapāpe vidhūya nirañjanaḥ paramam sāmyam upaiti. When the seer perceives the golden-colored, luminous Creator, the Lord, the cosmic being, the Supreme Self, who is the source of the universe, then the wise one, having cast away merits and demerits, becoming stainless and free from impurities, attains supreme equanimity and oneness. This is the third and the last verse of these 3 verses, which are about these two birds analogy of Mundaka Upanishad. So what does this particular verse describe? This verse portrays the transformative moment in the life of the sadhaka, in the life of a spiritual seeker, when the seeker realizes its true nature. And what does, when the verse says see the divine, what it means? Seeing the divine is, we have to take it in the sense of what we call aparaksha anubhuti, the direct transcendental experience of that reality, the vision of the Supreme Self, the īśaṃ, the God, as the golden and luminous reality. That is what happens when the seeker meets the higher self, which is all the way its true nature. It was not all the way, it was there, just around the corner. But the lower bird could not appreciate the presence of the higher self. So after this realization, one appreciates the higher self. That is, one identifies oneself with that spiritual reality. And what happens when one attains this realization? The seeker is then called vidvān. Vidvān means, vidvān has come from the word vid. Vid means to know. Vidya means knowledge. Vidvān is one who knows. Okay, one who knows. But not any other type of knowledge. Not that this Vidyan knows how to do programming on Python or how to drive a car. That is not a Vidyan. Here Vidya means which Vidya? Here Vidya means wait a minute. Allow. Yes. Which Vidvan means they know. What do they know?
Transcendental knowledge.
Yeah, and in the term of Mundaka Upanishad, what should we say? Which vidya? Mhm.
Paravidya.
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 Right. Para, the higher knowledge. Okay. So that now this seeker has got the higher knowledge, paravidya, which is the subject matter of Mundaka Upanishad. So what happens when the seeker has this realization? Then one thing happens, they transcends the dualities of punya and papa, merit and demerit. What does it mean? They transcend the merits and demerits. Any idea? Yes.
They stop making karma of any kind.
Yeah, that is one thing.
Yeah.
How about the already done things?
They have to play out, don't they? They
Yes,
have to finish.
they have to finish. But then this verse says that the seeker goes beyond these
Goes what?
merits and demerits. How does it happen? How does it play out?
Let somebody else say it. I'm not going to say.
Yeah. No, it is just a discussion. It's just discussion. Because we have touched the idea before.
Well, Swami, by not being reborn is one way. You no longer need to be reborn. If you're beyond that, then you're not going to have a life again.
Yeah.
As soon as you're reborn, you're going to make merit, good or
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now the point is punya and papa means, punya means the good things that I did. Okay. They, punya literally meaning or technical meaning of punya is whatever we do, there is a reaction, right? Immediate reaction sometimes we get. But Vedanta says whatever we do, apart from the visible result, we create something which is not perceivable, okay, imperceptible, something we create which remains, and they gives results later on. So these things are when the good karma, good things, we create punya, and bad karmas, we create papa. Okay.
Vasanas? Are those vasanas or samskaras?
Samskaras, vasanas, of course, all of them. Okay. The samskara and vasana is more a psychological aspect of the karma. Okay. For example, say I am eating chocolate a lot. Okay. So what I am creating here is vasana, more and more desire for chocolate. That is vasana or samskara. Okay. Now, if I am eating chocolate, then it will have some effect. My blood pressure or my blood sugar will go up. That's the visible part of the karma of eating too much of chocolate. Okay. But Vedanta says not about chocolate, but we extend it to some other work. Apart from what happens immediately, we also create some subtle karmas which play out later on. This verse says that a seeker, when they get the knowledge of
Self-knowledge.
truth, they transcends punya and papa, merit and demerits. So how do we understand this idea?
With self-knowledge, with that higher knowledge that we are equal. When that seeker, vidvān, has the knowledge of that equanimity with the higher self, then this merits and demerits it becomes effectless. It doesn't have any effect on my empirical.
Yes, you're going towards the direction. So if you remember when we discussed that viddate hridaya granthi chiddante sarva samshaya shiyante chasa karmani, all forms of karmas. Okay. So all forms of karmas means the puṇyapāpe also. They are also type of karma in the sense they are karma phala, fruits of karma. So how they transcend? That is, they are no more affected by them. Okay. So they will play out. They will play out in our life. Even a realized person's life, their punya, merits and demerits will play out. But the person will be no longer be as affected as rest of us. That's how they transcend. It is not that that part, Punya and Papa, gets destroyed. Suddenly a bomb explodes and they are gone. No, 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 no. So they will be there. Okay. And that is the bone of contention. We should remember that a realized person also have to go through their prarabdha karma, the work that has already started bearing their fruits. And fruits are good and bad, punya and papa. Okay. In that sense, they transcend punya and papa. Okay. They are in this, but the punya and papa will play out. But others will see that as it were the person is suffering or the person is enjoying, but they will not be as affected as we are. Okay, so illumined people, when they are asked that, all these kind of desires of anger, jealousy that we go through, do you also go through all of this? These questions have been asked to many illumined people and also to many Swamis that I know. So they say the same thing, that these also appear in our mind. Okay, but they cannot overpower us. They cannot overpower an illumined person. This little bit, there's just anger. They find out there's anger has come out, but they just see. They do not let the anger play out. In the same way, Papa will give suffering, Punya will give happiness, but the realized soul, the seeker, after realization, after they have become vidvān, they have got the paravidya, higher knowledge, they are no longer affected by them. That is how they transcends the papa and punya. Okay. Otherwise, it will tantamount to such a person will go on killing people because they have no merits and no demerits. They will keep on doing all of this, and nothing will happen to them. It's not in that way. In that way, that's how they transcend punya and papa. Then they becomes nirañjanaḥ. Anjana means anjana means stain. Okay, it's color. Color. Anj. So color is something. Imagine a white thing that has been colored. Color had been splattered on them. So the pure thing, the white pure thing, is now appearing to be dirty. That is anjana. Niranjana means taintless. They have become taintless. Pure and taintless. What is taints? What are the taints? What are the taints? Yes. The same that we discuss when we say that they become pure. Impure and pure. So what is impurity and what is purity? In the same way, what is stain and what is stainlessness?
Lack of desires.
Yeah, exactly. To be more precise, raga and desha. Attachment and aversion. That is what purity of mind is. The more attached we are, the more averse we are, more bound we are. Okay, that is like a impurity. Impurity. But what happens to a seeker? They go beyond strong liking and strong disliking. Strong like They go beyond strong like and strong dislike. That is the idea. Not that they would go beyond like and dislike. Okay, we have to remember that. They also will have like and dislike, but not strong like and strong dislike. I love that analogy of Swami Ashwakananda of San Francisco. He used to say that these, when likes and dislike become strong, they become like glue. Okay. So, but when likes and dislike are not strong, they are no longer like glue. They no longer can bind us. So that is a wonderful practice, to have like and dislike, but not being bound by them, not having strong liking and strong disliking. We have to avoid. So what happens? This verse says such a person becomes nirañjanaḥ. So they transcend cravings, hankerings, as well as strong dislike. Strong dislike. It is becoming pure. And if we look at people whom we call pure, we use it. Whether we use it or intuitively we figure out that person is very pure. And we shall find out when we are talking someone about purity or impurity, we'll see that we are actually referring to this idea. How strong desires, how much hankering they have, selfish desires, like for their own prosperity, for their own status, for their own desire, how much they can go down. That is the standoff. That is what we mean when we say that purity and impurity. Purity and impurity. We all of us are surely have met people when we call, oh, that person is very pure. That devotee is pure. What do we mean by that? We shall see that at the foundation or at the core of our leveling people as pure and impure, these are the aspects, how much hankering and cravings they have. Hankering and cravings only express as anger and jealousy, and that we then becomes impurity for us. Okay, so one thing is they go beyond merits and demerits. That is, merits and demerits, although play out in their life, but as it were, they are not as affected as rest of us. Secondly, they become pure, taintless in the sense of they transcends their strong likes and strong dislikes, raga and desha. Raga and desha. And finally, they upaiti sāmyam, reaches ultimate state of sāmyam. So sāmyam can be interpreted in two ways. One is equanimity. Equanimity. That is, what is equanimity in the sense? What was the higher bird like? What was the description of the higher bird? Higher bird is the witness, is watching without reacting, witnessing. Okay, so if we can witness, if we can become witness to our experiences, what happens? What happens? Equanimity. Equanimity. If we can be witness without reacting, with time, what happens is natural outcome of this practice, we become equanimous. Okay, we see that these good things are happening, bad things are also happening, but we find a equilibrium, a balance in all of this. So we come to this realization that whatever is appearing to be unbearable, very soon it will also pass away. It will also go away. And yes, it will cause some pain, but the idea that they are also an experience. I have the freedom, the control that how I react to that experience, bad experience, makes me, gives me the strength to go through all these experiences with a sense of equanimity or equilibrium, which is the main spiritual practice of vipassana or many other Buddhist type of uh, uh, spiritual paths, that just be witness to our experiences. Just yesterday I was reading in Atlantic, and there is a nice writer. Her name is Oglak Azan, probably. I cannot pronounce the surname. So she writes very insightful article, and she lives in New York. She, out of curiosity, went to this Buddhism class to see to interview people, why are they flocking to these Buddhist practices. And after taking a few classes and talking to people of all sorts of, all walks of life, she understood this idea, which is the practitioners are telling, that if we remain with our thoughts without reacting, silently, just have the patience to remain with our thoughts without judging our thoughts, just be witnessing our thoughts. With time, it gives a great the practice become liberating. For example, she interviewed one army veteran from Los Angeles. So what is happening is, when this army veteran is going through all the problems, in life, all the symptoms of PTSD, right? PTSD. So all the therapies are only helping him to justify all of these sufferings and pain, but they are not showing the way to go beyond. Okay, so he said that all the therapies are just helping me to validate all these feelings and justify all these feelings, why it happened, but no one is giving me the tools apart from medicine, how I can handle these sufferings, apart from simply justifying. And this practice of witnessing what is happening, I have, over the months and years, I have got much control over my thoughts. I know they will come back, but now I don't get swayed by them. I don't get overwhelmed by them. I don't get engulfed by them. Okay. So this verse is also pointing to the same idea, same concept, that when the seeker, the lower bird, the lower bird, the spiritual seeker, becomes one with the higher bird, it becomes the witness self. So it can then samyata, in its reaction, action, interaction, transaction with the world, they can maintain a samyata, an equilibrium, a composure. And that is one way of saying what the verse mean by the word samyata. Another way of explaining samyata, which also leads to the same outcome, is becoming one with the higher self. Okay, now I was watching the higher self, and finally I become one. Samyata means sameness. There is no difference between the lower self and higher self. So when I become one with the higher self, and the higher self is also everywhere It is not only in me, it is the same self everywhere. That is the greatest equation of Vedanta. Atma is equal to Brahma. The transcendental self is equal to the uh, immanent, whatever we are seeing in front of us. So in that respect, when I become one with my higher self, I automatically becomes one with everything in the universe, everyone in the universe, which we call in Isha Upanishad the idea of Sarvatma Bhava. Sarvatma Bhava, feeling solidarity, friendship, or kinship with each and everybody. In that sense also we can explain the word samyata. When the seeker experiences its oneness with the higher self, it in the simultaneously it also experiences its solidarity, kinship with the entire creation, with all entire humanity, all the animals, all the plants. They feel like it is me in all of them. I am in them, they are in me. I am in them, they are in me. This idea. And what also this verse says that um, it says that this bird is rukmavarṇaṃ. Rukma means golden, luminous. This bird is luminous. Luminous in the sense of it is illuminating. It is the source of all knowledge. In that sense, it is illuminating, golden. And what this verse also signifies the culmination of the seeker's journey. Okay, the seeker at the beginning was looking at the bird, as it were. The bird is at some higher branch and the seeker is at lower branch, right? So seeker in Sanskrit sadhak, and what it wants to achieve is called sadhya. I want to achieve sadhya, and the process is called sadhana. Okay, sadhana. In another way, imagine I am this part of the river. I want to go to that part of the river, that side of the river. So I am the sadhaka, and sadhya is that that section of the river, or that the what should I call it? The side, that side of the river. That side of the river is the Santhya, and the bridge that takes me is the sadhana. Okay, so when a seeker is just watching at the higher bird, it is still a sadhak and doing sadhana. And when the sadhana culminates, when it becomes one with the higher self, one with the higher self. And Swami Sri Ramakrishna said very colloquially that the progress of spiritual journey, at first the seeker says God is there. God is there. God is there, higher there. And then the mediocre devotee says God is in me. God is in me. And the highest type of devotee says God has become everything. God has become everything. Interestingly, Swami Vivekananda, in his Jnana Yoga lectures, he gave a talk in London on 22nd October 1896. The talk lecture title of the talk is Maya and Freedom. Maya and Freedom. Very powerful talk. He discusses many ideas into that talk, and he ends the talk this way. The journey of the spiritual seeker, he mentions the same thing. What he says is, I'm reading it out. The God of heaven becomes the God in nature, and the God in nature becomes the God who is nature. And the God who is nature becomes the God within the temple of the body. And the God dwelling in the temple of the body at last becomes the temple itself, becomes the soul and man. And there it reaches the last words it can teach. He whom the sages have been seeking in all these places is in our own hearts, in our own hearts. Okay, culmination of the spiritual journey. So that this verse is also telling it is the culmination of spiritual journey. Why culmination? Why it is saying culmination? Because I have reached oneness. Oneness. Remember, samyata in the sense of oneness. I have become now, I'm feeling my solidarity with the higher self. I am now functioning mostly through the inspiration of my higher self. Higher self. Not the creature, not as a creature, not as an empirical self who is reacting to all the experiences that are being thrown by world to us, and we are just reacting. Instead of that, now my life is being dominated by the higher self, that is the witness self, that whatever world may hurl at me, I will not react, I will act, I will be proactive, but I will not be reactive. Okay, it is the culmination of the journey of the seeker. The lower bird has become now higher bird. Okay, so these three verses, let me go through quickly these three verses that we read in this section of the Upanishad. The metaphor of two birds. Two birds sit on the same tree, representing the lower self, the jivatma, the empirical self, and the higher atma, higher self, the paramatma. And the one bird, the lower bird, eats the fruit. Fruit means here experience, different types of experience that life gives to us, while the other, the higher bird, observes silently. It's a detached witness. The key message of that verse is true freedom lies in shifting our identification from the fruit-eating bird to the witnessing bird. Should we be the fruit-eating bird or the witnessing bird? That is the key message. Then next verse says the condition of the lower bird. The lower bird, the individual, the one we are now, that person feels distressed by entanglement in worldly life. They find themselves helpless sometimes in the face of insurmountable problems, uncontrollable problems. And transformation happens through realization. When the seeker perceives the divine presence within, they overcome sorrow and attain peace. Key message is seeing the divine nature of the self dispels illusion and suffering. So if we seeing means here, we can experience the divine nature, then we can go beyond this suffering and this helplessness. Finally, the third verse which we read today is vision of the Supreme. When the seeker realizes the luminous golden presence of the puruṣaṃ, the transcendent self, which is the source of all existence, then by this realization, the wise one transcend dualities, all the dualities, and become stainless and reach equanimity. That is, realizing the Supreme Being leads to liberation from dualities and unity with the divine. We can handle then ups and downs of life much more gracefully. That is, even if we don't succeed in this goal, even if we don't reach there when we realize our oneness with higher self, still the journey itself has a payoff. The more we progress through this journey, the more we find that life's ups and downs cannot throw us off balance so much as we used to do earlier. Okay. As I say again and again, that the progress, the how we judge our progress, the benchmark of progress is FIR. FIR. Frequency, intensity, and recovery period. How frequently we are now getting annoyed or angry from the unpleasant things. How frequently? So if we progress, if we keep on walking in our spiritual path, this frequency will go away. The frequency will reduce with time. Then intensity. Earlier I used to get intense desire, rage. Now I don't get so intense. Okay, I am still cannot control my anger. I still feel bad, but it is not that bad. Okay, the intensity has reduced. So also recovery time. Earlier, these negative emotions used to overpower me for sometime maybe even days, and over time they come and they go quickly. As we mentioned, that illumined people say that these things come into their mind too, but very momentarily. The anger rises, but immediately that anger also melts down. Okay. Pain or suffering arises, but the pain that they feel does not remain for long. Okay. That is what happens when we keep this spiritual journey intact. That is, if we keep on walking, so what will happen? All the good things, all the attractive achievements that we have read so far, that becoming a witness self, becoming transcending dualities, then becoming stainless, all of this, the good qualities that the promise that we have read, they start manifesting in our life too, in gradually, in incrementally. It is not that on and off, that either you become illumined and go beyond all suffering, or if you cannot become illumined, that means we have to go through all the sufferings. No, the idea is it is also a gradual thing. It's a gradual thing. The more the lower bird, in the analogy, the more the lower bird approaches the higher bird, the more all of these qualities of the higher bird will start manifesting in the lower bird also, right? Lower bird also. So that is a great encouragement for us to keep our spiritual journey alive. Okay. Any question from you, or any observation from you? Paristhiti and monosthiti. What do you mean by that? Please, can you explain paristhiti and monosthiti?
When paristhiti is the situation
Uh-huh.
and manasthiti is your reaction to the paristhiti.
Yes. So what do you want to mean by this?
When you talked about, you accept the situation. I mean, you have the
Yeah.
situation, but
Yeah.
you don't let it overcome you.
Yes. So paristhiti is a situation, and monosthiti is how I react, right? So paristhiti I cannot always control, but my reaction I can control. In fact, those who have read the book Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl. So a wonderful book. Viktor Frankl's small book, Man's Search for Meaning. He was in this concentration camp and going through horrible sufferings. He was witnessing suffering around him, and he as a psychologist, he noted that even in the midst of all these sufferings, I mean, they took away everything from these people, but he was telling, you can take away everything from me, but you cannot take away my liberty, freedom in how I react to your oppression. Your oppression, you're trying to oppress me, trying to give me pain. I have no control over, but I have control over how I react to all of this. That is the last freedom I have. And he says, those people who had this capacity to control their reaction to the external circumstances are the ones who survived the concentration camp, not the sturdy ones, not the hugely built ones. A person may be lightly built, but if the person has this kind of mentality that paristhiti, situations may be out of control, but I can control how I react to this paristhiti. They have, in a sense, they have achieved liberation. It's a liberating, right? It's a liberating. You may keep on doing things which I cannot control, but I have the liberty or freedom how I react to it. I can react with grace, or I can simply react with reaction. Okay. Yes, Rick, I see your hand. Rick, you want to say something?
Sorry, I didn't have the button on. The witness awareness. So we are proceeding on the path to the golden bird status. And as we proceed, our witness awareness becomes stronger.
Yes.
As the witness becomes stronger, does the reaction become uniform?
Yeah, exactly. The reaction becomes much more equanimous. Yeah.
From person to person?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, exactly. That is, right now, so good things, we are, say, reacting like this. Okay, reaction is this. Suffering, reaction like this. Okay, negative, so we are taking it down. Okay, this, say the graph is like ups, so much of ups, so much of downs. And equanimity means this gap will be less and less. So with happy things also will react like this, and sufferings also this, not this, not this. Okay, not so high, not so low, but it is kind of little high, little low. That will happen the more we approach the golden bird.
Now, does that allow for personality? In other words, you come to this place tonight from your journey from India, so and so and so. I come from New York, and here we are together. My reaction and my personality is not yours. Does the witness awareness override the journey to the awareness?
Yes, of course. But personality or history, life history will impact in this way. How it will impact, you know, since I am from India, I may not react to pumpkin pie the way you do. Okay. But I may react to, say, rasgulla more than you do. But for both of us, when we take the journey, what will happen? The rasgulla that was making me happy would not make me that happy anymore. Okay. And the pumpkin pie that would make you so happy earlier would not make you that happy anymore. It will be more a serenity than happiness. Okay. Serenity is a better term for equanimity. You know, serenity with a graceful mind, with a equilibrium, we are accepting everything. So many people sometimes think that, well, that is not a very interesting state to be if we don't enjoy our coffee the way we are enjoying now. Okay. But another thing will come, that is serenity will come. Okay. Serenity will come. I would like to conclude with an example. Example is one of our Swamis, Swami Gambhirananda. You might have heard about him because all the Sanskrit books that we have were translated by him. He was a very silent, unassuming monk, but a great scholar. All the Shankara Bhashyas and all, and most authentic translation till now is his translation. He did all of these translations when he was the general secretary, that is CEO of our organization. I mean, it's all the business of work. The CEO position is very, very active place. But he, although he was administering the whole organization and thousands of monks, in the midst of all of this, he was doing translation in the same work office, not at room. So equally, equanimity. A problem, when it comes to him, the way he used to deal with the problem with the same attention and same state of mind, he was translating Sanskrit commentaries into English. Anyway, so in Belur Math at 4 p.m., tea is served. Tea is available, and it's a not so good tea, but we have no option. So only tea that is available. And I used to say that the beauty of Belur Math tea is threefold. Threefold in the sense, because in the amount of tea and amount of milk, this is fixed, and depending upon number of people, they pour more water or less water. Okay, so sometimes it is just tea by name. So I used to say that Belur Math tea has got three advantages. One is, no matter how many years you drink this tea, you will not get addicted, because it hardly has any caffeine. Okay, hardly has any caffeine. Number two, after having this tea, any other tea will be better. You will enjoy any other tea you will be happy to get. In the whole world, any other tea will be more, you will be enjoying more. So this is another beauty of this tea. Third, in winter, in Belur Math, we don't have running hot water. Okay, taps, if you open the taps, faucets, it's cold water. So in winter, you can pour this tea, in your hand to get some warmth, because so much supply of this tea, it is just like water, hot water. Anyway, so one day at Belur Math, 4 p.m. tea was served, and it was given to him also. He also drank the tea, and other monks realized that the tea was salty. That is, the cook who was cooking the tea, instead of sugar, has poured a lot of salt in it. They look alike. So the monk who first noticed this ran to Swami Gambhirananda. So and went and said, Swamiji, have you taken your tea? He said, yes. Have you noticed anything? He said, yes. What? Today they poured salt instead of sugar. That's it. But he drank the coffee without reacting. Okay. So the idea is reaction. Reaction will become less and less stronger. Yes, Betty.
Can you hear me, Swami?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I wanted to ask you about the emotions and about some people think this would create like a lack of affect. And I wanted
Yeah.
to ask you about joy.
Mm,
It's transmuted. It's joy is there, but it's a different kind of joy.
yeah, right.
Would you comment on whether there's flat affect if you become totally unattached, if you're totally detached?
No, the joy will be more in serenity, as I said, serenity. Serenity. It is no longer that kind of reactionary joy or reactionary suffering, but more a sense of serenity and grace.
And pleasure in the knowledge that you have.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and what you're seeing. And
Yes.
if you're
Even
seeing
what?
God in
Yeah.
everything, yes.
Yes, even positive psychology, all these scholars of positive psychology, that rigorous, those who are rigorous scholars, they are also accepting that beyond all of these happiness, joy, pleasure that we are talking about, is a state called equanimity and serenity, which is much more comfortable state, a serenity to accept everything. With otherwise what happens is joy and we are reacting good way, and at the same time an outcome which was not up to our mind, up to our liking, then also will feel down to the same level, to the same extent we shall feel down. But riding all of these waves with a sense of equilibrium, a center of gravity, that is what serenity is, and that is what equanimity is. That is what Upanishad is speaking about.
So it's like a stability,
Yeah,
like a levelness.
yeah, yeah.
And a contentment that comes.
A contentment. It's a very good word. I am yet to start my book. The book I purchased. This book will not make you happy. Name of the book. So that psychology deals with that we are becoming obsessed with happiness, as it were we have to be happy all the time. That person says that no, we can go beyond all of this. We can tap the idea of contentment. Okay, that not only we have to be happy and as euphoric, not happy if we are not euphoric, as it were we are going through problems. That is the how the situation has become, that we have to be happy all the time, euphoric all the time. But this psychologist is saying that no, we can have problems, we can be unhappy, we can be even sad, we can be even be depressed a bit, but we can still be content about what is going on.
And I think when one has that contentment, it really affects people, other people.
Sure.
Yes, it has that effect.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Swami,
Yes, Paul.
I think it's important to distinguish like moving beyond reactive emotional states is not the same thing as not having emotions.
Yeah,
So one can still be happy when it is appropriate to be happy, or
right.
even angry or annoyed,
Yeah,
but it's no longer so reactive and it doesn't control,
me.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, I control them. Yeah, yes. It does not mean that becoming, free of all emotions or not having any emotion at all. Yes, Purni.
I have two questions. One is that, and they're sort of connected. In the previous Upanishad, or maybe in other teachings, you have talked about this realization coming to you in a flash, right? But also, it seems apparent that it's a
Gradual.
practice that can be cultivated by sadhana.
Mhm.
So there is that aspect to it. And when you cultivate it by sadhana, it will come to you in a
Mhm.
flash. So my question to you, sort of connected with this, is that if you just focus on the technique, so to speak,
Mhm.
where, or is there the transformation that happens and the spiritual aspect of it? How do you, I mean, is that a given, or it's not, doesn't have to be there?
Now, goal is to have, finding this oneness with higher self, what we call aparakshanubhuti, right? The real experience. Not only Shravana, not only Manana, not only Nidhyasana, but practiced so many years that we experience that thing, the reality as it is. Like a flash, it might happen. Okay, that is our goal. But the point is, even we cannot make it, still that all the practices we are doing are taking us toward that direction, and all the qualities that will come, all the benefits that will come from that aparakshanubhuti will also come in gradually in us, in incrementally in us. Is not it? Unmute, please unmute.
And the follow-up on that with the technique versus the spiritual aspect. I mean, you have any comments on that?
Oh, I did not understand what you mean. How do you
I
distinguish?
mean, if it is just a question of getting to that point, and you do this sadhana and you get to that point, or maybe you get better than where you were the day before or the years before. What about the spiritual experience? Is that integral to it? I mean, I don't know if I'm articulating my question.
I got it. I got it. That kind of experience when we find oneness with that thing, right? Oneness with everyone, or that golden. Say, why is
Yeah.
the
Now,
golden
is that the integral part of? Is that like absolutely necessary for it, or I mean, what
Yes.
is the?
Yeah, exactly. The aparakshanubhuti has to have the final say in our culmination, right? Yeah. Now, the point why I was making that, instead of thinking that it's a failure if we cannot make it, rather the journey is also promising. Not only the destination, the journey is also promising. But at the same time, just because journey is promising does not mean journey is everything. Okay, journey is not everything. Also, destination matters. Destination will matter. What will happen is, in the next verse itself, we will see that even those who realized, illumined, there are categories among them. Brahmavid, Brahmavid Vada, Brahmavid Variyan, Brahmavid Varishta. Okay, not only illumination, but after illumination also there are categories. Okay, those who remain in that state all the time, those who have experienced it, but at the same time, this experience goes and comes, has not become a stable thing. They are Brahmavid, mere Brahmavid. So we shall see in the next verse. Next verse will say, who is the best among the illumined ones? Brahmavid Varishta. Okay, what is Brahmavid Varishta? What are the characteristics of Brahmavid Varishta? We shall see in that. And in that connection, we shall also try to understand 4 types of Brahmavids, 4 types of illumined people that have also place in Vedanta. Okay. That even among the star players, there are superstar players, mega star players. Okay. Those who have, say, it is like many star players have got Olympics, but are all of them of same? They have experienced what it means to get Olympic gold medals. But even among all those who have had Olympic gold medals, there are differences. Okay. So the point is, even if we are approaching the goal, even going daily, we are approaching the goal. There is definitely difference between approaching daily and taking the journey and making the journey, making the goal. There is difference. Yes, Rick, you want to ask something?
Yes. I got to go up.
Yeah.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
So it occurs to me with this talk and other talks, when people talk about bliss, and I think about ecstasy, but then I think about the attributeless absolute. So then it occurs, especially after tonight's talk, that bliss is not blissful.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yes, I'm glad you brought this topic. My understanding of Satchit Ananda, this Ananda is not a euphoric state or a bliss, a joy that we think of. I think that Ananda here, it means being our natural state, our spontaneous state, not bogged down, not weighed down by worries or anxieties or regrets. So Ananda here means, I would say, that serenity. It's not that, if I get Brahmagyan, I will be euphoric all the time. Rather, I will become natural. Natural. And if we see, illumined people, look at their life, they become very natural and spontaneous type of people. Not calculative, guileless, because that is the natural state of what we should be. Okay. So the bliss that we say or translate, that should not be taken as euphoria. Euphoria all the time, high. All the time we are high. No, we are not high all the time. Okay, we are serene all the time. That is Ananda. Ananda. Okay. For example, after having a wonderful sleep, if I have woken up, so nice sleep, then what is the state of mind? Is it euphoric? Is it, dancing with joy? No. It is, just like very natural. No worries are disturbing me. No to-do list yet. No regret about the past. That is a serene state, kind of. But it is so much to covet, that kind of state. We look forward to having a wonderful sleep, and after waking up, we feel like there is no more sleep I need, and all the fatigue is gone. That kind of serenity is more than the euphoria or being high. Being high. Okay, so all right, then I thought I would be able to go to the next verse that we shall take up next day. Okay, what is the characteristics of the best among the illumined ones? Brahmavid Varishta. Who is Brahmavid Varishta? Okay, all right, let's say Shanti, Shanti, Shanti together. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. See you next week after Thanksgiving. And happy Thanksgiving to all of you.